Hi, Carol. Thank you so much for coming in and meeting with me today. First, let me start off by expressing my condolences for your husband, Jason. I know you two were close and that this was a hard hit for you, but I want this and your financial situation to be one less thing you have to worry about. So by picking up my services, this is what I hope to do for you today at least. I'm going to go through the executive kind of summary of things that we went over, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about the insurance coverage we're looking at. So at a high level, I think that you and Jason did a really good job saving for a retirement account. You're going to have a comfortable retirement, especially if you maintain that low tax bracket and low end or expenses on a year-to-year basis. Plus, with the potential for the jewelry income and the income or gifts from your sons with giving you that life insurance policy proceeds, there's a lot of extra flexibility there. But in terms of opportunities in the estate planning side, and you will want to meet with an attorney, I saw that there's a potential for a trust. That way you can further avoid probate and keep things private on your end. And then you also want to look into a will, durable power of attorney, and a durable power of attorney for healthcare, also known as like a medical proxy. And we detail that all in estate planning. Then on the investment side, I notice we have a really large concentration in ABC stock, and we also don't have a correct asset allocation, and both of those are addressed in the investment section. Finally, we're also looking at designating beneficiaries properly, checking our tax filing, making sure we're correct all in those regards. But the other topic I wanted to talk about today is insurance. For your insurance coverage, you asked initially about Medigap coverage. So Medigap is that in between in terms of what A and B does not cover. So with you, most people are offered at age 65 to enroll in Medicare, and then 6 months within that time you enroll, you can also look at Medigap coverage. If we're after the 6 months, which we are, and you're at 68, we have the trouble now of paying additions in premiums and also being declined for Medigap coverage. So it may take some shopping to actually find an appropriate policy for you, but it's still a possibility. The other thing you asked about was long-term care coverage. This was a big topic just because there are a lot of options for us there. We can look at viatical settlements. We can look at self-funding. We can look at a long-term rider and a 1035 exchange. All of these have pros and cons. The two I focused because they were the most direct to answer your question was adding long-term care rider on the life insurance policy, or going ahead and doing something called a 1035 exchange to change that life insurance policy to a long-term care policy. Now, with the rider, it's going to cost additions in premiums, and there could be some nuances to that, and you'll have to talk with an insurance agent about it, but it is a possibility, but it will add to your costs or annual expenses. The other part is with long-term care insurance and doing that 1035 exchange, it does open it up the contract for negotiations. You might see additional commissions and fees on that. I'm not too worried in your situation just because doing the retirement calculations, I've noticed that you're pretty well set up because you keep your expenses and tax brackets so low at this point. Also, under insurance, I wanted to make sure, because we did not go over it, that you do have a personal auto policy. I know you still are driving, and it is required by the state, so be sure that you have that. A pretty standard coverage is what they call in insurance terms is like the 50, 100, 25. The 50,000 would be per person bodily injuries. The 100,000 will be for all bodilies combined. So there's a cap to that liability, and the 25,000 for property damage. So if you ever were to strike a light pole or anything like that, that would fall under that, as well as the cars. The other part I wanted to look into was your primary and secondary residences. I know that they've appreciated here over the time that you've held them, so something important to look into is upping the insurance and making sure you're fully covered, because in case of a fire, you do expose yourself to paying on top of the deductible. Um, so by all means, please look into that with an insurance agent as well as the personal auto. But that was it for our appointment today. If you want to discuss further retirement planning, investments, or your filing status, any of these formats, we can talk about that. But I know you were short on time, so thanks for stopping by.